Welcome to Dancing Bee Equipment. This is our mini tutorial on hive tools and how we use them, and several different types of them as well. We'll show you some of the functions and some of the different aspects on them. So this is not so much a common one. It's got a lot of different features. It's got a beveled edges here. It's got a pointed, what looks sort of like a J, but it's a prying tool. And it has a few other features that I have no idea what they do, but it looks pretty cool as a weapon. Second one, again the same functions, beveled edges here, a nail prying tool here, and a modified J down here with this hook. And the third one is what we call a standard hive tool. It has a beveled edges again on both ends. It has a 90 degrees. On here it has the same nail pulling tool here, and a flat edge with a bevel on this end as well. And then we have what's known as the J tool. The same features, beveled edges here, flat end here, nail puller here. And you notice the J on this side as well is a little more pronounced. So we're going to show you how to use each one of these tools, certainly the last two. So let me just take this hive apart for you. So one of the functions of these tools with this beveled edge is to be able to take your hive apart. The bees are propolis or glued together. Anything that has a hole, anything that's more 3/8 of an inch, the bees see it as a hole that has to be plugged. So you will have to unattach or unglue these. So this edge, if you put the flat edge down, the bevel on top, and you can push in, and you're basically prying this to the point where you can get this off. Sometimes it's glued a lot tighter than others. The same function you're going to find when you're looking at getting into a hive, because again it's all sealed up nice and tight here, prevents drafts, prevents moths, it prevents ants, etc. from getting through that hole. You do the same thing, you get in here and you pry that up. Sometimes you have to move a hive tool up and down the length of it if it's glued all over, to the point where you can finally get in here and you can lift this apart and you can see either take it off or you're just looking at it to see what's happening underneath. So if we look at the functions again, there's two different types of tools I'm looking at today. People always ask me, which one do you prefer? And I don't have a preference. I like features on both of these, and I'm going to show you how I use them. I really like this 90-degree angle because it's great for putting on a frame and pulling towards you and cleaning up any of this stuff, the propolis, honey, wax, other things that have been stuck on a hive. I just find it really easy. If you're going to use a flat edge, which a lot of people do, I find what it does, it is more prone to digging the wood up, and you're going to find slivers coming off. But if you want to collect propolis, that's one way of collecting propolis off. I put it in a bucket when I'm finished with it and save it and sell it at some point later on. So there's one method of doing it. I don't recommend using that. This is the one I do recommend, pulling it towards you. It also helps when you're cleaning off tops of frames, because you're going to have propolis, you're going to have wax, you're going to have all sorts of stuff, honey, all on top of these frames, and you want to be able to get that off as well. Not a good idea to drop it in front of your hive because you're inviting all sorts of animals to collect there as well. I like to put mine in little buckets. Another function is to take the flat edge. You're going to want to pry these frames apart. They're glued in here with wax, with honey, lots of bees around. The ears especially you will find are glued in tight. To be able to get these frames out, you've got to be able to pry them and move them. So I would take the flat edge and I would push a frame apart like this so it detaches from the other frames, and I'll be able to get it out. You can use the 90 degree as well. You can hook it under here and you can lift your frame up. I find that tends to dig into the wax foundation and dig into the honey, and now you've got honey leaking all over, and you've also damaged some of the foundation. So my preference when I'm lifting anything out of a hive is to use the J tool. And the reason for that is quite simple. It's got the same scraping things I can use. It doesn't have one that's nearly as well if you're drawing it towards you. but the J, this nice curved part, really works well to get in behind the ears and to lift these up. I like to use a crossover motion where I take my J tool and I go to the opposite side, the opposite hand, and you'll notice where this little edge here hooks into the frame, and you can pry this up. You want to grab your frame by the ears, and then I can take it over to the side that's closest to me, and I can do the same thing here. I can lift it. You want to hold your hive tool in one hand. It takes a little bit of practice because our inclination is to lay it down, and if you do lay it down, if you're like me, I knock it onto the ground and then I got to pick it up again. It's covered in grass and gunk. So you want to be able to grab a frame by the ears. You want to have your tool handy. You can still move this frame anywhere you want to look at it. I like to be able to take it from here and put it on something like a frame holder here. So it's out of the way, there's still bees on it, but it gives me lots of room to move in here so that I can still move these apart, but I got lots of space to be able to play, and I can do the same thing. I can hook it in here, can lift this out, got lots of room. And when I'm putting it back, this side as well, you can respace these. You want to have equidistance between each one of these frames so that you're spacing them equally. You also want to be able to place them in there gently because you don't want to be disturbing your bees by banging them around. Because I've taken them and I've moved them all close together, I will respace them just by very gently moving them so they got equidistance between them. So just to recap, the two basic types of hive tools, the 90-degree, or I use it as a scraping tool, and the J tool. Either one of them is as effective. I like to use my Paul Kelly bee belt just because I'm not dropping these all over. I've got them at hand. I use a double one because, like I said, I can't decide which one I like to use better than the others. And when you finish, you just put your hive back again together. So I hope that's helped. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I wish you all the best of luck with your hives.